Yo, what's up, you guys? Today I'm back in these journals again. I'm excited because I'm going random now. I saw a journal, very basic journal, and I said, let's dive into this one. I don't know what's in here. And I started reading. I was like, let's turn this camera on. Let's just dive into it. You guys already know what this is. This is Journal Chronicles, where I go and I find my weapons and my wisdom needed for times like these based on words God has given me in the previous season. So today I'm looking at November 20th, 2015 at 5:16 a.m. It says, my life right now seems like a big blank sheet of paper. Some great story is about to be written, or some amazing blueprint is about to be drawn. Either way, I feel the build up and I know it's all on the verge. Maybe it's already begun. God said, I am going to do a new thing. I have already begun. Do you not perceive it? So I'm just going to stay ready. I playfully adopted the name Don Giver. I'll talk about that in a second. Because I'm a giver and desire to be the lender, maybe it's time I walked in even more truth and proof of that name and desire, offering my service and gifts for free or at my own expense. This right here, man, I was in this place of really trying to understand what God was doing in my life, how he wanted me to do it, how to stay true to the core values I learned from God, and then how to also pursue the things he called me to pursue. And it seems like I don't have enough. And this is around a time where I really started to understand that God was partnering with me and that the vision he gave me was bigger than me. And it was supposed to be that way because he intended to partner with me so that I can get it done. It wasn't supposed to be about me. He made it so I couldn't do it without him. But this is an interesting twist he put on my story. At my own expense. I remember just trying to earn a living, make some income off of this entrepreneurship, books and speaking engagements so that I could buy a house and pay off my car and clean up my credit, just have income to handle some of these life things, right? And I remember God putting on my heart to don't hold your gift ransom. Don't hold it hostage. Don't withhold your gift because you're waiting for someone to pay for it. We're just like God. God says, the Bible says that God will withhold no good thing from those who live uprightly, right? And so there's people out there who need what God has put inside of me. So who am I, if I call myself a vessel, who am I to withhold and not give because I want something in return for giving something that wasn't mine even in the first place? So this reminded me of, I was life coaching back then. I was really trying to build up my clientele, and God put it on my heart for a whole year to offer my group coaching services for free. So one Sunday a month, I had this big event. Well, I wanted to be a big event, but I had an event where I used my mom's backyard and called it a coach shop, which is like a coaching session and a workshop all rolled into one where people could come by and I would coach on specific topics. I did it for a whole year for free. It was tremendous. It was incredible. We ranged from some days 20-something people to some days 4 people. But I offered that service for free, gave people like top quality coaching. And man, a few opportunities came from it, a few clients, a few speaking engagements, but that wasn't the point. The point was God, like when he tested Abraham with Isaac, what has your heart? Are you willing to now give away the thing that I gave you that you so earnestly desired? And mine was to have a voice in this generation, be able to pour my gift out. And I did. And I didn't charge people to come. Anybody could come. It was free. And I gave them top quality coaching and prayer and answered questions as I would if I was in at a paid event, so-called. And that was a point where I recognized that there was no price tag on my purpose. There was no negotiation price for my calling. Like God had called me to do something and I was going to do it. And I remember at the end of that year, how good it felt to know that I made the impact that I made and that God continued to supply my needs according to his riches in heaven. God took care of me that entire year. He didn't take care of me my entire life. But that year, God continued to let the checks flow in or the resources flow in or the partnerships flow in or the assistance flow in as I continue just to do that work. And that's when I really got a strong relationship with understanding that God will supply all my needs according to his riches in heaven. And that if he called me to this thing, that he will make sure that I'm thoroughly taken care of. Man, that made me happy. What else is in here, man? That Don Giver nickname, I want to be a giver, man. I feel like I'm a generous person, and I feel like it's part of my gifting to give. So that was important. Some biblical principles I wrote down was take heart, I've overcome the world from John 16:33. Isaiah 40:17, all the nations are nothing before God. Romans 12:21, overcome evil with good. Romans 8:31, if God is for us, who can be against us? Matthew 5:14-16, I am the light of the world. Matthew 5:13, I am the salt of the world. Man, dude. Okay, so this is November 21st, 2015, 7:35 a.m. So it was a girl I was dating at that time. So yesterday, this young lady decided she is willing to date me. But before we get on that horse, I want to do something to make it memorable. Maybe communion to remind us of who the dating is all about, like Holy Communion that Jesus said that we should do. Let's see. So that God may be glorified. All the experiences and history I learned in my mission trip in South Africa further reminded me that every choice I make is history being made. So let's make it sensational, epic, lively, sentimental. Don't hold back. How do you want the story told 30 years from now? Back then, I was living in this principle more clearly of future history. And it simply states, when this story is told in the future, who do you want to be able to say that you were? And I was looking at this, understanding, I was present, not just looking, I was present to this moment, understanding this was history in the making. And I just wanted to I had the pen in my hand. I wanted to intentionally put things in place in this story so that when it's told 30 years from now, I could just be excited and moved and touched and inspired and happy and glad that I made the choices that I made. That situation was good. I am recording and I am being honest, so I'm pretty sure I'll touch on that another point. But I'm not upset, regardless how it turned out or regardless of where it ended up. I'm not upset with making those decisions and those choices because it's still part of my history, and I know that God is causing all things to work together for my good. I want to jump over. This one keeps intriguing me. This journal, it keeps intriguing me. I don't even remember where I got it from, but it got like a little lock and everything on it. So I feel like this one got special treasures in it. This one's open page says desire. This is from 7/14. So that's what, July 14, 2010, almost 10 years ago. My confession, I wrote in the front, I will daily strive for my full potential. Jeremiah 12:5, I wrote in here. It says, then the Lord replied to me, if racing against mere men makes you tired, how will you race against horses? That verse reminded me that I'm more than just a mere man. God has greater expectations of me. If racing against mere men makes you tired, how will you race against the horses? That really made clear for me the calling, where God is calling me in my life, and the things he's calling me to do. This book has different kind of poems and figures in it and stuff like that. I remember I used to love reading those little poems in here that was already in the book. All right, so let's see. July 14th, 2010. Today I return to square one. October 10th, 2008 marks the beginning date of my failed attempt to be peculiar. Wow. Today I return to square one. October 10th, 2008 marks the beginning date of my failed attempt to be peculiar. I believe, well, let's read. July 14th, 2010, I begin again. I won't give up, won't quit, won't beat myself up. I begin again. I think this is talking about my journey of abstinence and celibacy. Woo! Yeah, man. I did like 3 years of being abstinent. That gave in, and it's hard to stop, to give up sex after it's hard to give up sex again after you've given it up once you get back into the flow of things. Woo! I did that about 3 or 4 times. So I've been on that journey since 2000, I think, in 5, and it's been worth it. And I will continue. Even if you slip up, even if you fall, get back on. Don't spend time in guilt and shame. God wants you back in purpose. He wants you back on your path. So get back and don't worry about it. He's put his grace in place for situations such as these. The next page says, a man takes blame, takes courage, and corrects the wrong. A man takes blame, takes charge, and corrects the wrong. So yeah, I take responsibility for the choices I've made. My ego was not in vain. So I have an ego tattooed on my chest. I got that after my first successful year of practicing abstinence. That ego on my chest was symbolic of the verse that says, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like an eagle that soars. They shall run and not get weary. They shall walk and not faint. So my eagle was not in vain. My Father forgives me. I forgive me. I press on. I was really struggling through giving in to sexual temptation, man. Even though I had done it before, man, I wanted so bad to preserve myself in that respect. And man, I see myself fighting on these pages to just make sure I don't fall into guilt and shame, that I can get back on. And God really showed me his love during these times. And it made me as his son want to show other people just that same kind of love when they fall short. Because it felt so good. It was comforting. And so just wanting to be more like my dad, my Father in heaven. It is summertime in Austin. I lived in Austin during this time, in Austin, Texas. I'm 30 years old. Wow. And I'm being groomed for greatness. It is summertime in Austin, Texas. I am 30 and I'm being groomed for greatness. Who will compliment me? She will be great as well. Not a mistake. Woo-wee! Y'all can see what that's talking about. Not just someone I hooked up with and just like, oh, I guess we're going to do this thing. Nah, man. She will be great as well. She will not be a mistake. Yeah, I think that sometimes when we hook up with someone, whether we get them pregnant or not, like we can start to feel like, oh, I have to. This is obligation. I must be with this person. But God is intentional, and never feel like, oh, I have to. Seek God, man. God could use that situation, but don't just because you've messed up, don't just take things to your own hands and say, okay, it's my job to clean it up. Like I said on the other page, I take the blame for it. I take charge for it, and then I correct the wrong. But I do all this with God. I go to his throne room and say, hey, yes, this was me. This is what I did. Where is your grace available? Where is your guidance available in this moment? What should I do next? Order my steps, even though I went astray. And just like the story of the prodigal son, God is waiting there for you with open arms to receive you back into himself. So, yeah, just always remember that. This last page I'm going to read is from July 15, 2010, from the book of Jeremiah I was studying. And this quote I wrote down says, when nothing goes right, keep doing right. Yeah, when nothing goes right, keep doing right. Yes, do not grow weary. Do not grow weary in well doing. But stay on that path, and in due season you shall reap a harvest of righteousness. So that's always a great reminder. Even my business name is Don BG, which stands for Donnie Be Good, which is the name that my grandmother gave me, Donnie, and she'd always tell me do the right thing. So I use that as a business name and business model to do right. And this verse just remind me of it, or this quote: when nothing goes right, keep doing right. July 15, 2020, I was at my church in Texas I used to belong to. And a few notes I wrote down say, developing the right kind of love. That's what I was working on God doing in my heart so that I could love how he loves. John 13:35 says, disciples are recognized by their agape for one another. Remember, the Bible says that they will know you're my disciples by how you love one another. And love has always been at the foundation of things. I always wanted it to be at the foundation of things that I do, because it's the marking of my Father. It's his character developed in me or coming through me, you know? So I feel like that is when I'm built up in spirit, man, and I have my flesh, man, disciplined and pushed down. I feel like that's when God shows up best through me. And it's always through some kind of love act, either a tone of love or a gesture of love or an energy of love. And man, it's just a reminder, if I truly am a disciple, that's the evidence of it. We have to communicate better. I became really big on communicating in an effective way, not lashing out, not venting, but communicating in a more healthy way. And I had to study about communication and how we analyze and interpret. And that's where I got a lot of my philosophies from my life coaching today, just by making it a commitment to communicate better. And the only way you get better at something is if you practice and study. And so I did a lot of research on communication, which is probably why I speak about a lot about communication now, 10 years later. Develop, bring the full potential or maturity. So to develop me, God is saying that that's to bring me the full potential or maturity. And so that just means that I have to stay in that process, commit myself to that process, commit myself to God's hand and his molding. That means that regardless if situations are uncomfortable or they hurt, if it's God, then I need to stay committed to it, because it's refining me and helping me to get ultimately what I want, which was to be fully developed in love and communicate better. Yes, I'm an advocate for that. Yes, I'm an advocate for that. This last part, in your dark times, God will develop you, just like film. Anybody knows about the old process of how pictures were made or developed in this dark room is where they were developed. And so in those dark places is where God is doing his development, or where he still does his development with me. And so when I can't see, or when it seems like it's an uncomfortable place to be, or the unknown or the mystery, I've tried to condition myself to understand that that is where God is doing his molding. Whew! Sometimes God does hide you away. Hide you away from opportunities in your business and entrepreneurship or your industry, hide you away from relationships, because he has you in a place where he's developing character, something that's even more important. He doesn't just want to get you to that place. He wants to develop you. And like the quote says, it's not about getting there. It's about who you become along the way. And I believe that that is what God is all about. He made us in his likeness, and that is what he wants to shine forth, his likeness in us. He wants his likeness in us to shine forth. And so that's why in all these situations, that's what it seems that he is focused on. Developing and pulling out his likeness that is inside of us. Ah, man. Yeah, this is good. So I'm going to come back to this one. This one seems to have a lot of of needed essentials in this season, of great reminders. It just feels good to have this pour back into me, if nothing else. So I'll be praying on this as usual. I really want to get into dream, imagine, and believe. So maybe that'll be the next journal I'll dive into. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that something was said that encouraged you, that gave you some kind of guidance, inspiration. But whatever it did, I pray that ultimately that these videos and this video encourage you to start journaling for yourself. Love you.